The moment I stepped onto my porch, I knew something was off. My Amazon package was nowhere to be found. It wasn't just misplaced, it had disappeared, like it was taken by some neighborhood troublemaker with quick hands. Checking my doorbell camera footage confirmed it. There she was, Karen, standing out in broad daylight, flashing that smug grin as she snatched my package off the porch as if it were hers by right. No attempt at being stealthy, no hoodie, no disguise. Just a woman with the nerve of a cartoon villain, walking off with my package like she was doing me a favor. I froze for a moment, feeling my blood pressure rise. This wasn't about the package anymore. It was about the principle, the sheer audacity of this woman. My mind raced, recalling the stories I'd heard from the neighbors, whispers over the fence, complaints on the HOA Facebook page. Karen had been doing this for months, maybe years, with no consequences. My jaw clenched as I stormed back inside, checking my Amazon order history to confirm what I already knew. My new, high-tech gaming headset, the one I had been eagerly waiting for all week, was now in the hands of a woman who probably didn't even know how to use it. I replayed the footage on my doorbell camera app. There she was, with her shoulder-length blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, and that sense of entitlement you could practically spread on toast. She tucked the package under her arm and strutted off like she'd just won a prize. This was it. It had to stop. I took a deep breath, weighing my options. I could call the police, but I already knew the outcome. A report would get filed, an officer would show up, half-heartedly do their job, and Karen would play the innocent, confused woman who accidentally picked up the package and then claimed it disappeared. No, the cops weren't going to fix this. I needed to confront her directly. Grabbing my phone, I walked over to her house. Stepping onto her perfectly kept lawn felt like walking onto enemy ground. I rang the doorbell, and within seconds, the door swung open. Karen stood there, looking at me as if I had interrupted her afternoon of counting stolen goods. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice oozing with fake sweetness. I didn't waste time. "Hey, Karen, I think you accidentally took my package earlier." She blinked, pretending not to understand. "Your package?" "Yeah, I saw it on my doorbell camera. You took it about an hour ago." Karen gasped, clutching her chest like I had just accused her of the worst crime imaginable. "Oh my goodness, that must have been a mistake. I thought it was mine." I stared at her, unamused. "Really?" "Because it had my name on it." "Well," she said, crossing her arms, "maybe Amazon delivered it to the wrong house." "They didn't," I shot back, "because I literally saw you steal it from my porch." Karen let out a dramatic sigh, shaking her head like I was the one acting unreasonable. "Listen, I don't appreciate being accused of theft. Maybe you should check with Amazon instead of harassing me." I gritted my teeth. The nerve was almost impressive. "All right," I said, stepping back. "If you're sure you don't have it, I'll just reach out to the HOA. I'm sure they'd love to see the footage." That made her flinch. Her face tensed for a moment, her lips pressed together like she was calculating her next move. But before she could respond, the unmistakable sound of a small dog barking like a demon from inside her house broke the silence. Karen looked back, clearly rattled, and in that split second, I saw it. The package, sitting on her entryway table, still sealed, still absolutely mine. I could have pressed her more, but I already knew how this would go down. Karen wasn't going to own up to it. She'd double down, play the victim, and turn this into some ridiculous neighborhood feud where I'd somehow be the bad guy for calling her out. Fine. If she wanted to play games, I'd play along. I gave her one last look, forcing a smile. "No worries, Karen. I'll take care of it." Her eyes narrowed, sensing there was something beneath my calm tone, but before she could say a word, I turned and walked away. Back inside, I grabbed my laptop and opened the neighborhood Facebook group. It was a goldmine of fed-up homeowners ranting about package theft, and as I scrolled through, I found what I needed. Post after post about missing deliveries, all within a 3-house radius. My blood boiled. She'd been getting away with this for a while. That was about to end. I quickly typed up a post. "Hey neighbors, just a heads up. Caught someone on my doorbell cam taking a package off my porch today. If you've had packages go missing, I check your security footage. I'll be sharing mine soon." Within minutes, the post blew up. Comments flooded in. "OMG, was it Karen? I knew it. She took my daughter's birthday gift last month. Can we please do something about this woman?" I leaned back, satisfied. The seed had been planted. But this was just the beginning. I had no doubt Karen had seen the post, and I was sure she'd find some way to wiggle out of it. She always did. But this time, I wasn't going to let her. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof that she was behind all of it. And I knew just how to get it. That night, I set my plan in motion. I grabbed an empty Amazon box, tucked a small GPS tracker inside, and placed it neatly on my porch. It was bait, shiny, irresistible bait. And I was willing to bet my next paycheck that Karen wouldn't be able to resist. I set up my camera feed, dimmed the lights, and waited. 30 minutes later, I saw movement. There she was, Karen, peeking out from her house like a raccoon hunting for scraps. She snuck onto my porch, checked her surroundings, then quickly grabbed the box and scurried back inside. Gotcha. I checked the GPS. The package was now inside her house. I couldn't help but smile. Oh, Karen, you just made a big mistake. Because tomorrow, I was going to give you a package you'd never forget. The plan was simple. If Karen wanted to keep stealing my packages, I was going to give her one she would remember for a long time. I sat at my kitchen table, phone in hand, dialing the one person who could help me pull this off. Mark picked up on the third ring. His voice was groggy, probably from another late night of binge-watching conspiracy videos. What did Karen do this time? He asked, cutting me off before I could even say hello. She stole my Amazon package. Again. There was a pause, then a sigh. Of course she did. I need your help, I said, lowering my voice like Karen had bugged my house. Something extreme. Something she'll regret. Mark was quiet for a moment. Then I heard a faint chuckle. I think I know exactly what to do. By the next afternoon, I found myself in Mark's garage, staring at a plastic box filled with exactly what I needed. A whole colony of angry, buzzing hornets. This is insane, I said, watching as Mark carefully placed the box inside a larger Amazon package. This is justice, Mark corrected. Think about it. Karen loves taking things that aren't hers, right? Well, now she's going to take something she really doesn't want. I could already see it in my head. Karen, smug as ever, sneaking up to my porch, grabbing the package, rushing inside. And the moment she opened it, chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos. Mark had designed the box perfectly. It had a small, spring-loaded mechanism that would snap open as soon as she lifted the lid, releasing the swarm into her house. The hornets, already agitated from being transported, would have only one goal: sting anything that moved. Just to be clear, I said, watching as Mark sealed the package with a perfectly printed Amazon label. This isn't going to, kill her, right? Absolutely not, Mark said confidently. Hornets hurt, but they're not deadly unless she's allergic. And even then, she'd have to be really unlucky. I thought about it for a second and then nodded. Good enough for me. That evening, I set the trap. I placed the package on my porch, adjusting my doorbell camera for the best possible angle. Then I went inside, turned off the lights, and waited. I didn't have to wait long. At exactly 9:17 p.m., I saw movement. Karen, the suburban gremlin that she was, emerged from her house like she had some sixth sense for stolen goods. She tiptoed across the lawn, her eyes darting around to make sure no one was watching. She moved toward the package, hesitated for a brief second, then grabbed it and rushed back inside her house. I leaned in closer, my eyes glued to the screen. Any second now. And then it happened. Through the slightly open blinds of Karen's front window, I saw the exact moment she opened the box. A brief pause. Then, pure, unrestrained chaos. Karen's scream shattered the silence of the night, a mix of anger, fear, and total disbelief. A second later, the front door swung open, and Karen came bursting out of the house like she was being chased by a serial killer. She flailed around, slapping at her arms, face, and legs as if she'd been set on fire. Behind her, the unmistakable cloud of hornets poured out like a living nightmare, swirling around her in a buzzing frenzy. She tripped, hit the grass hard, rolled, then scrambled up again, still screaming as the hornets relentlessly pursued her. From the window, I could see inside her house, a complete disaster. Furniture overturned, dishes smashed, and her tiny, yappy chihuahua darting around in frantic circles, barking like its life depended on it. She ran for her garden hose, fumbled with the nozzle, and sprayed herself in a desperate attempt to escape the hornet onslaught. Water sprayed everywhere, soaking her completely, but the hornets weren't finished with her yet. She ran in circles, flapping her arms like a mad bird, before finally bolting down the driveway, screaming for help. I had to bite my lip to stop myself from laughing out loud. The chaos had caught the attention of the entire neighborhood. Porch lights flicked on. Curtains twitched as people peeked out, some even stepping outside to witness the spectacle. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get any better, Karen grabbed her phone and called 911. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could easily imagine it. "Yes, officer, I need help. My house is under attack." "No, not by burglars. By hornets." "Yes, a box full of hornets. Someone did this to me." Within minutes, flashing lights lit up the street. A fire truck, an ambulance, a police car. A team of firefighters rushed to Karen's house, trying to figure out how one woman had managed to turn her home into a biohazard zone in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Meanwhile, Karen stood on the curb, drenched, covered in welts, her hair a complete mess, shaking with rage as she pointed at my house. Oh boy. A police officer walked up my driveway, eyeing me suspiciously. "Sir, your neighbor claims you booby-trapped a package with hornets." I did my best to look shocked. "What? No way. That's insane. Who would do something like that?" The officer squinted at me, clearly not buying my act. "Do you have any idea how this happened?" I paused for a second, then shrugged. "Well, I did hear she's been stealing a lot of packages lately. Maybe someone finally got fed up." Karen screamed from across the street. "It was him. It was him. He did this." The officer let out a sigh, clearly regretting his life choices. "Do you have any proof?" Karen stammered. He has cameras. His doorbell camera. Check it." The officer turned back to me. "Do you mind if we take a look?" I nodded, keeping my face calm. "Of course, officer." I played the footage, watching as Karen's expression shifted from anger to sheer horror when she realized she'd just implicated herself. There it was, in perfect HD, undeniable proof of her stealing my package just before everything went south. The officer stared at the screen for a moment before turning back to Karen. "So, you're admitting you stole the package?" Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. She knew she was busted. The officer sighed. "Ma'am, you're lucky we have bigger issues to handle right now. But I suggest you stop taking things that don't belong to you." Karen looked like she was about to lose it, but she stayed quiet. She had no choice. I watched as the firefighters finished clearing the hornets from her house, shaking my head in mock sympathy. Poor Karen. She had wanted to steal my package. Too bad she got exactly what she deserved instead. Karen wasn't going to let this slide. I could see it in the way she stood there, drenched from the garden hose, covered in welts, her fists clenched so tight I thought she might burst from rage. As the firefighters cleared the last hornets from her house, she didn't even acknowledge them. Her eyes were locked on me, like I was the final boss in her personal villain origin story. I had won the battle, but I knew in that moment Karen had declared war. The next morning, I woke up to find my trash cans tipped over and garbage scattered across my front yard. The smell of rotting food hit me before I even stepped outside. Karen had retaliated. I stared at the mess, shaking my head. She wasn't even trying to be subtle about it. I grabbed my phone, opened my doorbell camera app, and sure enough, there she was at 2:45 a.m., creeping across my lawn like some kind of gremlin, giggling to herself as she dumped bags of food scraps all over my driveway. I wasn't even mad. If anything, I was impressed by her dedication to pettiness. But two could play that game. I cleaned up the mess without saying a word, not giving her the satisfaction of a reaction. That only made her more desperate. The next day, my internet started randomly cutting out. At first, I thought it was just a technical issue, but when I checked the side of my house, I found that someone, I wonder who, had messed with my router, pulling out a few key wires just enough to screw up the connection. Then came the HOA complaint. Suddenly, I started getting emails about noise violations for parties I never threw, parking violations for a car I didn't even own, and an official warning about aggressive behavior toward my neighbors. Karen had gone full scorched earth, using every suburban rule she could find to try to ruin my life. That's when I realized she wasn't just after revenge. She was trying to break me. I needed to end this. I sat down with Mark, telling him everything that had happened over the last few days. He listened with a grin, shaking his head. "She's losing it, man. You really got under her skin. She won't stop until she thinks she's won," I said. "So we need to make sure she knows she's lost." Mark leaned back in his chair, cracking his knuckles. "All right, what's the plan?" I had to think big. Bigger than hornets. Bigger than trash attacks. I needed something that would make Karen rethink her entire life. Something so huge that she would never, ever dare mess with me again. That's when I remembered a viral video I had seen a while back. It was about a very special kind of revenge. Glitter bomb, I said. Mark's eyes lit up. Oh, hell yes. We got to work right away. Mark had some serious engineering skills, and after a few hours, we had built the perfect device. A fake Amazon package, packed to the brim with industrial-strength glitter, set to explode the moment the box was opened. But that wasn't all. We also added a fart spray mechanism, timed to release an unbearable stench in intervals, ensuring that Karen's house would smell like sewage and rotten eggs for days. And just to make sure it really stung, we added a tiny speaker that would play a pre-recorded message the moment the package went off. Congratulations, package thief. It was a masterpiece. I placed the package on my porch in the afternoon, right in view of Karen's security camera. She wouldn't be able to resist. I even labeled it as something valuable, high-definition home security system. The irony was perfect. Sure enough, I didn't have to wait long. Less than 2 hours later, I got a motion alert on my phone. I opened the live feed, and there she was, practically shaking with excitement as she rushed over, grabbed the box, and hurried back inside. I held my breath, waiting for the moment of truth. Through the camera, I saw a brief flicker of movement through her window. She was inside. She was opening it. Boom. A massive cloud of glitter exploded like a bomb had gone off. The door to Karen's house flew open as she staggered outside, her whole body covered in shimmering, impossible to remove specks of pink, blue, and gold. She screamed in pure rage, frantically brushing at her hair, her clothes, her face, only making it worse as the glitter dug deeper. Then the fart spray hit. Her scream turned into a gag. She stumbled, dry heaving, as the stench filled the air. Then came the final touch.